Thank you for tuning in to the Student Organization Summit. Make sure to follow us on social media and check out the many other videos on this channel about working with and advising student organizations. And now, please enjoy your workshop.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us at this session of the Student Organization Summit, the Chapter Standards Program, a framework for engagement at a distance. My name is Amy Everson, and I am the Senior Manager for the Office of Student and Alumni Affairs at American Public University System. I've been with American Public University System since 2010 and served in a number of roles across the university. I served with the School of Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math as an administrative assistant, and then worked for the university provost as a project manager before coming over to the Office of Student and Alumni Affairs in 2014. And in my role, I lead a team that works with our campus leadership programs, student organizations, and university awards and recognition. I'm joined today by Michelle Gilbert. Michelle, do you want to take a second to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Like Amy said, my name is Michelle Gilbert. I've been with the university since 2010. I was in the offices of career service and then came over to student alumni affairs in 2013. I work primarily on our chapter standards program and honor societies, just helping build relationships with the organization leaders.
All right. Well, thanks, Michelle. So today we are going to tell you a little bit about our institution, our student demographics, and then we'll deep dive into a program overview of the Chapter Standards Program. As I mentioned, Michelle and I work in the Office of Student and Alumni Affairs at American Public University System. APUS is a 100% online university comprised of American Military University and American Public University. Our founder, James Etter, was a career officer in the Marine Corps, and he really found some difficulty as he was transitioning from looking to transition into a post-military career, because as he had traveled the world and been stationed in many different places, he was forced to transfer his credits to different institutions as he was working towards his master's degree. And he had many stories of other military personnel who had the same struggle. And so his goal was to really create an opportunity where military personnel members could complete their master's degree and start that post-military transition without suffering loss of transfer credits and really hitting some stumbling blocks as they moved around the world. And so in 1991, American Military University was founded. And then over the next 10 years, as our university grew and our programs were launched, we found the need for American Public University to really connect with a broader audience of working adults. And so in 2002, the American Public University System, including both AMU and APU, was created. We are accredited by the Higher Learning Commission and currently offer more than 200 programs at the associate's, bachelor's, master's, and doctoral levels. And we recently celebrated a huge milestone of over 100,000 alumni. We have monthly course starts to meet the flexibility demands of our student population so that they can start and finish, start classes on their schedule and do not have to wait for a traditional semester start. So our current student demographics, as of June 30th, we had just over 83,600 active students, which does not include our doctoral cohort. And most of our students, as you can see, are undergraduate with about 83% and about 17% doing graduate work with us. Our gender breakdown is about 60-30 male to female, and the average age of our student is 32 years old. We do have a small subset of our students meet that traditional 18 to 22 age range, but most of our students are going to be a little bit older and working adults. Because we started as a military university, or at least that was the target. We do still have a high number of military and military affiliated students. Our military students, who include active duty, National Guard, and Reserve, come in at just about 65%. And then military affiliated, which are students who report themselves as veterans, military spouses, or military dependents, are just under 17%. Our civilian population, which we include as anyone who did not select a military relationship or affiliation during their admission program, is just over 17%. And then for our racial demographics, we are a predominantly white university, with just over 52% of our students identifying as white. We have roughly just a little bit over and under 15% of our students identify as both Black or African American and Hispanic or Latino. About 2.5% of our students identify as Asian, and then just under 1% for both Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander, and American Indian or Alaska Native. So now that I've told you a little bit about our university and our students, I wanted to talk a little bit about our department. And so this Office of Student and Alumni Affairs, like many offices of student activities or alumni affairs across the country, is a small but mighty team. And so our student organizations, we work with nearly 40,000 participants in 69 active student organizations. Our campus leadership program has approximately 100,000 registered leaders. Our mentoring program has over 18,000 participants. And our awards and recognition, we recognize nearly 30 awards annually from across all of our academic schools and university departments. And then our alumni affairs team works to keep those 100,000 alumni engaged with the university after they've conferred. And so I know we're here to talk about our student organization structure today, but I feel like it's important to acknowledge how our campus leadership program connects to that structure before we get too far into it. And so we recognize that none of what we're going to share with you today would be possible without the dedication and motivation of our chapter advisors and our student and alumni leaders. In 2017, we formalized the campus leadership program to provide resources and training to university volunteers in a variety of leadership roles, including organization leaders, mentors, social influencers, task force members, award reviewers, just to name a few. And through this program, participants receive general leadership training in the areas of organizational knowledge and strategy, self-management, administrative and project management, critical thinking, communication skills, leadership and teamwork. And then once completed, they're put in contact with their program administrator for role-specific training. As students and alumni are registering to be campus leaders, we do a pre-assessment for them in those program areas so that we understand where they see themselves and how developed they feel those leadership skills are before they get started. And then depending on their role, so for like task force members and award reviewers, those are more time-based and have a real end to them. While our other roles, they can serve in them as long as they need to or as long as they want to. And so throughout that process, we get a post-assessment from them. If it's a ongoing role, we do that at 6 months and then again at 3 years. And that really helps us assess how the program, how the trainings, and then their different roles have helped them grow as leaders. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Michelle to talk about our student organization structure.
Thanks, Amy. So our student organization foundation is made up of 6 categories. Those are career and pre-professional organizations, community volunteer, honor societies, your faith and spiritual, cultural, and social organizations. Our university recognizes organized groups whose mission falls in line with that of the university. We do have a chartering process in place that allows our students, faculty, or any staff members to start a new organization at any time during the year. The first step of the chartering process is for them to submit a new organization application to the Office of Student and Alumni Affairs. The new organization application is filled out by the student or staff that is interested in starting the organization, with all the detailed information about the organization, such as the name and then the overall proposed organization's purpose. Once submitted to our office, one of our student alumni affairs liaisons start the application process. Our office does work very closely with each individual throughout the entire application process. The second step in the chartering process is to secure chapter advisors and member interest. We do require that at least 2 faculty or staff are chapter advisors are secured to help assist lead the chapter. Once we have secured 2 chapter advisors, they are sent what we call the chapter advisor agreement form. That in detail basically explains all of their responsibilities as a chapter advisor and also our expectations as they embark on the chapter advisor role. If needed, because sometimes it's not always, we will solicit member interest for the proposed organization by reaching out to faculty and staff. We have email campaigns that we send out, or we use all of our social networks to gain interest from students. Oftentimes, these pending organizations already have a list of members that are eager and ready to join. So collection of member interest is on a case-by-case basis, depending on the organization. The third step in the process is the chapter paperwork. This is material such as creating a chapter constitution and submitting the intent to organize. The constitution is specific to the operations of AMU and APU. And for organizations that may have national affiliations, such as some of our professional organizations and our honor societies, we do want the Constitution to not only align with our university, but also those of the national office and all of their standard processes. And then the second part of this is the intent to organize form. This form is intended to basically signify the completion of the packet. It walks members through each step, making sure that they're able to kind of backtrack, make sure they have everything filled out. So basically, it's like just a checklist that they need to go through to make sure they have all the appropriate paperwork. Once complete, the packet is submitted to our office for review, and we usually review it within a 14 business day turnaround time. Like I said, our student alumni affairs liaisons work very closely in this process so that nothing goes missed and any questions are answered by both parties. All of our universities recognized student orgs are expected to align with the Chapter Standards Program. Our Chapter Standards Program is made up of 5 pillars: that of leadership, academic recognition, professional development, university service, and community building. This program was basically developed to enhance and add value to the organization member experience, creating opportunities for leadership as well as opportunities for member engagement, building community, well, not only within the classroom, but outside of the classroom. The Chapter Standard Program outlines our university expectations for all student organizations, and it actively helps work to honor and recognize chapter achievements throughout the year. So our Chapter Standards Program activities and reporting. Organizations are required to complete basic requirements to remain recognized by our university. They are awarded points based on the areas of leadership, professional development, academic recognition, community relations, and university service. And it is all done through a point system with the Chapter Standards Program. There are many opportunities for organizations to achieve high standing in this program, and it's based on the overall yearly goal of the organization. So at the beginning of the year, we always have our organizations fill out an annual plan. And that's basically their goals that are outlined for the year. And a lot of times they will base it off the chapter standards program and what they want to achieve. How they decide to achieve these points yearly and to kind of get their standings at the end of the year is unique to each organization that we have. To submit chapter standards reporting, we currently use FormStack for the organization. So once they complete a chapter standards activity, they will submit the FormStack form to us with what they've completed. And then we put it into a Google Doc that I will talk about here shortly. However, there are some other platforms you can use for this, such as Campus Labs, Campus Management, and iModules are some other ones that you can create this reporting form for. But currently we do use FormStack and have found that our org leaders do like this program. On this slide, you will kind of see a small example of different areas that organizations can work towards, depending on the organization's overall goal for the year. So within the academic recognition, they can recognize academic achievement within their organization, participate in our ClearPath mentoring program, or recognize someone for our university awards program. These will all get them points towards the chapter standards program. And kind of like I had mentioned before, once they complete these items, they submit those on the FormStack and submit to our office so we can update their reporting on our end. So some of you are probably wondering, how do we keep track of all this reporting when we have about 69 student organizations? So all of our reporting currently is done through Google Docs. So the student orgs their leaders will submit the FormStack as far as what they've completed for chapter activities. That FormStack comes to us, and then we have found that Google Docs works extremely well as far as being able to report live. And that's what our org leaders want to see. They want to see, once they've reported their items, they want to be able to see it on their doc. So what we've done is we've created Google Docs for each of our orgs. They all have the chapter standards layout on it. And then we update it as they submit those FormStacks. And then once it's updated on our end, they can simply log in on their side and see that what they reported is now updated on the Google form or Google Doc. And then as far as chapter finances, chapters will be awarded annual funding based on their chapter standing, recognizing their commitment to member engagement. And so in 2021, whatever their chapter standing that they receive for 2020, they will receive a certain amount of funds for 2021. And yeah.
All right. And I think it's important to note here that our university does not charge a student activities fee, and there is no additional cost to students to join our organizations other than what is required by the organization itself. So for example, our honor societies that have a membership fee, or professional organizations, if there's a fee to join at the national level, the students are responsible for that, but there is no additional fee to join and and to participate at the chapter level. And so the funds that they're given through the chapter standards program have been allotted by the university as a commitment to the co-curricular and extracurricular program opportunities at the university. So when we first launched the chapter standards program about 10 years ago, we worked very closely with our university leadership to be able to show them that our students participating in these programs were persisting longer, they were persisting further, and they were staying with the university longer and that our programs were really influential in the persistence and retention at the university, and that they were impactful to the students who were involved in them. And so I think this is really an example of how our university leadership has 100% committed university resources to student organizations, um, and has done that in a very tangible way through the funds that are allotted to the university organizations. I recognize that this might not be something that every university is able to do, but I think it's definitely an example of how getting those higher level university administrators in, and those who are making those budgeting decisions can really make an impact. Our student organizations, with the funds that they're able to, recognize their graduates with a gift, or we've sent a number of student organization leaders to conferences across the country in pre-pandemic times. But we've also been able to help them offset the cost of virtual conferences this year, or in some cases, for example, our Association of IT Professionals, there's a certification involved there, and they've been able to offer reimbursements for students who pay for their certification, complete that test successfully, and then we've been able to reimburse those costs through the student organization funds. Right, and so that is our presentation for today. We are very excited to have shared this with you guys, but if you do have questions, we can be reached at studentaffairs@apus.edu. We're also going to be live for a Q&A session on Zoom, and that link is on your screen, and we hope that you will join us there. Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to the Student Organization Summit. If you're watching this live, feel free to reference the schedule for the day and use the link in the schedule to access a Q&A room where you can ask questions or chat with the presenters from this workshop. If they didn't list a Q&A link, or you're watching this video after the event, thank you for your interest in the Student Organization Summit.